You are now listening to The Perfect Prana with Kyah Ann. What's poppin'? What's good? You're listening to The Perfect Prana Show on WCRX 88.1 FM. I'm Kyah Ann, your host, and also a girl who is obsessed with yoga. So if you love yoga, this is the perfect place to be. And if you don't love yoga, this is still the perfect place to be, because we have the usual yoga news, where I speak about yoga controversies, what's going on in the world of yoga, Yoga Hills, where I bring on a fellow yoga instructor, ask them about their practice, and the weekly wellness challenge. But before we get into all of that, let's take this moment to center ourselves. Let's take this moment to focus on our breath, focus on our prana. Prana translating to breath, as in the breath of life, our life energy source. So no matter where you're at, you're sitting on the couch, you're driving in the car, you're walking your dog, sitting on the floor, there's many options. Let's just take this moment to bring awareness to our body and to our breath. Sit up nice and tall, or stand up nice and tall, or if you're laying down, just lengthen your spine. Create a nice line of energy from your tailbone to your crown so breath can effortlessly move through you. Roll your shoulders up and back, relaxing them, lengthening your neck. Relax your face, your eyebrows, your jaw. Maybe soften your gaze or close your eyes, depending on your circumstance. And take a deep inhale through your nose. Let the breath travel to your chest, then to your rib cage, then right into your belly. Then exhale from your belly, your rib cage, your lungs, and your throat. Let out a nice inhale through your nose. Again, letting the breath travel down your body, down your spine, traveling to each part of your body, giving it energy. And then exhale, going up from the belly, the rib cage, the lungs, then the throat. Take a deep inhale through your nose, fill up your belly like a balloon. And then exhale, let out a nice sigh, like pulling your belly in, pulling your rib cage in, pushing out all the breath. One more time, inhale through your nose, letting the breath travel to each part of your body that needs nourishment and attention. And then exhale, let out that sigh, pulling in your belly. Begin to bring your breath back to a nice, normal, steady pace. Relax your body fully. Any place that you're holding tension, just feel it relax and feel it soften. I am centered. Let's get on with the show. Yoga news. Kundalini yoga bolsters cognitive health among older women at risk of Alzheimer's disease. Basically, Alzheimer's disease, if you don't know what it is, it's a neurodegenerative condition that progressively erodes memory and cognitive function. Older populations are usually deal with this disease, and this article actually says that women are actually more at risk for this disease, and that could be due to longer life expectancy and hormonal changes and genetics and da 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 da. And actually, the other day I learned that only 3% of the Alzheimer's cases are genetic induced. Like, it was like, just that's your genes. And then the other 97% is lifestyle induced. So I have been curious and wondering, like, how do I have to live to avoid this? Because I could be at risk for this in my older years. I do have a family history of this. So yeah, it's just something to be aware of. UCLA, the college, they did a study on older women. They had one group of women do Kundalini yoga, and then the other group of women do some like just regular cognitive exercises, whatever that looks like. And then they found that the Kundalini yoga had some benefits and was really helping these women out with their memory and whatnot. That's just a short little snippet of the article. Anyways, I was prompted to talk about this. I mean, of course, because it's Kundalini yoga, but then I was like, okay, now I have to do a deep dive into Kundalini yoga. So I just did a crash course last night because I've heard of it, but it's not something that I've ever really looked into or really learned about. So here's this little crash course or my understanding on Kundalini yoga. Basically, Kundalini is this energy that sits at the base of our spines. We all have it. And then there are things that can awaken this Kundalini. And when the Kundalini is awakened, it travels up your spine and you have just this crazy Kundalini awakening experience. And a lot of people associate it with a spiritual awakening. But it is known as a dangerous thing because when people's Kundalinis are awakened and they're not ready, then that could be seen as psychosis. They could have all these mental illnesses or demons in air quotes come up, all these trauma come up, just everything come up, and they just really don't know how to deal with it or control this energy. But, you know, we're supposed to harness this energy and then like use it for good and be like basically in our divinity. I also looked up, you know, the difference between enlightenment and Kundalini. And I did find that some people don't think that they're the same thing. Some people think you can have enlightenment, like you can have an experience or a moment of enlightenment, but it's imbalanced. But Kundalini, having this Kundalini awakening where it reaches your crown chakra, is supposed to be like completely balanced, like all your chakras are balanced. But some people find that like the energy might get stuck in one chakra. So maybe it's like if one of your chakras is blocked off or like, you know, weak or whatever, then the Kundalini can't properly travel up the body with ease. And the last thing to note about it, it's associated with cults. That's the other controversial thing about Kundalini yoga, that it is associated with cults because the person, I can't remember his name right now, he brought it here to the United States. He came up with Kundalini yoga, basically all these practices and mantras, which they already exist in ancient Hinduism, but he just put them together so people can awaken this Kundalini. So the goal is to awaken this Kundalini. But this guy turned out to be like horrible because people were saying he was abusive and they were worshiping this dead person. It was just, I couldn't really get too much into the whole cult thing, but it was just another spiritual guru doing weird stuff and a weird situation going on. From all these spiritual gurus and stuff that I've been watching on YouTube last night, a lot of them are saying it's better to accidentally awaken this Kundalini. It's better to just like let it happen versus like going on the journey to awaken it, because if you do it too early, then you're at risk for a lot of mental and physical damage, and it's a lot of just not good stuff. Something I discovered about this Kundalini yoga is I feel like this is the basis of what people mean when they're talking about yoga being demonic. Like what these Christians mean, like, oh my gosh, this is a demonic practice, this Eastern religion, it's horrible, like don't do it, it's not of God, whatever. Because basically you don't have to do Kundalini yoga to awaken Kundalini. Anything can awaken Kundalini. And people describe this feeling, like they say, you know, once it's awakened, you'll know it's a feeling that starts at the base of your spine or starts in your body and surges up, and they really feel this energy and this heat. Or that's pretty much the most that I can describe about it, because I've never really experienced this. And if I'm being a little bit honest, I am a little skeptical. Back to the Christians. They hate this. They think that this is a bad no-no. And partially, I kind of get where they're coming from in this aspect. Hear me out, hear me out. They're basically saying that when this Kundalini is going through you and you have no self-control, like you are shaking uncontrollably. And by the way, I encourage everybody to look up a Kundalini awakening, because it is just so interesting and low-key a little funny to watch. I'm just being honest. Like, you're looking at it and you're like, what? Like, is this for real? Like, this can't be for real. But I feel bad for laughing, but it's just funny to watch. Okay, whatever. Anyways, you know, all these super Christians are like, once this energy is traveling through your body and you're shaking uncontrollably, that's not divine. That's not of God. The sense of divinity is associated with self-control. So if you can't control yourself, then that's demonic. And I don't know, that stuck with me a little bit. You know, I do see self-control and discipline as something of God that's godly. You know, being in control of yourself, that seems very godly to me, in my opinion. And then I've also, you know, watched some spiritual gurus that say, if you're not ready to awaken this Kundalini energy and it's awakened, then you won't be able to control it. But if you're ready to, like if you're a balanced person, you've been practicing yoga and doing meditation for a while, you're in a good place mentally and spiritually and whatnot, then, you know, you'll be able to control this once it's awakened. And that also stuck with me. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, this is nothing. I wouldn't play with this. And then that's the thing about chakra work, where I'm understanding that it can be dangerous to activate these chakras or these energies in your body. Like, maybe so. Maybe that is something that's dangerous and not for everybody. Because again, some people awaken this Kundalini and they go into this psychosis state, which, you know, Eastern religion, they'll say, oh, that's a Kundalini awakening gone wrong. Western medicine might just say that's psychosis, put them in the mental hospital. A lot of Christians, you know, again, they believe that you shouldn't practice yoga because if it puts you in this state, it's opening you up to demons. This is what they mean, that it's you're opening up to this energy or whatever that is demonic and causes you to shake uncontrollably and just, yeah. So they're like, don't do that. But it was so interesting. Like, if you look up some like Pentecostal churches or whatever, they'll have this thing called the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, and people will be doing the same stuff that is basically like a Kundalini awakening, where they're like shaking uncontrollably and like just like again, are you serious? What even is this? Again, a lot of Christians are speaking out against that. That's not the Holy Spirit. That's the devil in the church and blah, 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 whatever. I wish that I knew I had somebody to talk to about this. So if you know about Kundalini, or you've awakened your Kundalini and you've experienced this yourself, please reach out to me on Instagram at consistently Kyah, consistently spelled with a K, Kyah spelled Kyah. If you even want to come onto the show and talk about Kundalini with me, then please do. I am genuinely perplexed by this this whole thing, because I'm like, is this real? Like I said, I do have a bit of a skepticism. You know, something I read was, I guess, to get your Kundalini to your crown chakra, you might have been working on this in your past lifetimes already. I don't necessarily have that belief system that we have all these lives. Somebody in one of the gurus like, oh, you know, maybe you're not ready now, do it in the next lifetime. I'm like, I don't know. Again, I don't necessarily have this belief system that we have all these multiple lives. This whole Kundalini thing, as I'm understanding it, it's like a real energetic thing where people are like, oh, you see stuff on the astral plane and you experience stuff that normal people don't really experience, or ordinary people don't experience. I'm not totally closed off to any of these ideas that you can have just this crazy spiritual experience and access different energies and all that great crazy stuff. But again, I do have a bit of a skepticism, because I know, like, for something to work on you, you really have to believe that it is real. Well, even all these people that are having these horrible experiences with Kundalini, like, they genuinely, truly, in their hearts, believe in this experience and that it's really real. It's reality. People having these great experiences too are, again, they believe that it's really real. I don't know. I need to be presented with all the information before I make up my mind about what I truly believe about this. But for right now, I do believe in the power and the benefits of yoga, in moving your body, in breathing, and sitting with yourself, sitting quietly, and the yogic philosophy about how you should conduct yourself in the world, and things that you should do for yourself. I believe in all of that. I think that is all great stuff. Not about awakening this whole Kundalini energy, or doing this stuff for your next life, or because your past life, or whatever. I just believe that doing these things simply improves the quality of your life. You will live a better quality life if you have full mobility in your shoulders. And if you're happy with how your space is cleaned, and if you have good relationships with people because you don't steal from them or hurt them. It really is that simple. So, you know, and it's like when you watch some of these videos and you look it up, some people might be enticed, like, I want to awaken my Kundalini. I want to go on this journey. And they have classes, Kundalini yoga classes, yoga literally meant to awaken this Kundalini energy. They have that, but I don't think it's necessary. I mean, the spiritual journey to me is improving myself so I can improve my community and just being a better person. And it really is that simple. there's a lot that goes into this, though. This stuff is complex, and I'm glad that I looked into it, because it just reminded me of how big this world is and how much I don't know and all that's out there. But yeah, I was like, no, you don't need to go on a Kundalini journey. I don't need to go on a Kundalini journey. Nobody needs to go on that. Like, I really think it's just, be a good person, do good things, live your best life, okay? And make sure to move your body, because if you don't move it, you lose it. Why they practice Kundalini specifically for Alzheimer's, I don't know. Maybe because it does have some for real mental effects, but I don't know if that's specific to Kundalini yoga, or that's just yoga in general. If you have a regular practice, you'll feel it. You'll feel good. You'll see the benefits of that. So, this Reddit post said there's many pathways with yoga, but there's one enlightenment. And I like that. Something to keep in mind. There's many different ways to reach this enlightenment. There are many ways that we can strengthen our relationship with our divinity. Is Kundalini yoga demonic? I guess maybe it could be. To be continued. Yeah, and I actually saw this lady. She said, if you lack control of your time, your sleep, of your life, then it's not recommended to venture into this practice in working on your chakras and trying to awaken this Kundalini. And it should be a very slow, gradual thing. And I can see that. I agree with that for myself, because as a girl who literally could not turn off Dream Girls the other night and go to sleep, I don't need to be going on no Kundalini journey. Yeah, I can see how people are enticed by this, because there's so many people that are talking about all the benefits and the things that they had. Yeah, people believe when you awaken this Kundalini and it successfully reaches your crown chakra and everything's in good balance and you have control over this energy, that you could have these psychic abilities and you could have these godlike powers, straight up levitating, basically superhuman type stuff. I saw one guy say, he went through this Kundalini awakening and woke up, his face was slimmer, all his body fat was gone. I can see how it's enticing. I can see how people are looking at it I want to reach this Kundalini awakened state. But it can, I guess it has its drawbacks and its dangers. And that should just be thought about. Again, I don't think it's something that we need to strive for in the practice of yoga. I think when we practice over time and we live a good life and apply this yogic philosophy, or honestly any righteous philosophy about being a better person and cleaner and staying mobile, you apply that to your life, you will get in touch with your divinity. You will become closer to God. And it's just that simple. Anyways, yoga heals. This week's guest is Fluid, who has been practicing yoga for over 10 years. She's dedicated to healing herself and her community. She believes that everybody can do yoga, and it looks different for each person because all of our bodies are unique. She's changing the false perception of what yoga looks like. Thank you so much for coming on to the Perfect Prana Show. Yeah, so I understand that you're a yoga instructor and you have your own practice and relationship with yoga. So I just would like to know when you started practicing yoga, and why do you still practice yoga today?
Yeah, so I honestly started practicing yoga before I knew what yoga was. So meditation always intrigued me from a child. And then seeing like, I don't even know how I saw it, but I saw something about people levitating and like just, finding your stillness and you can levitate. So as a kid, I would be like sitting there with my legs crossed with my hands like this, trying to figure out how I can make myself levitate. And then yoga really found me first through like a physical sense and not necessarily like the spiritual aspect of yoga. That wasn't until later in my journey. When I was 14, that was my first time like doing yoga, but it was P90X yoga. So it's not real yoga, but it was more like a workout. And I still loved it. And from then I went to the Navy and joined yoga classes while I was in the Navy. And it really just helped me stay calm. It helped me center myself. It helped me heal past different traumas that I dealt with being in the Navy and even before I had went in. And yeah, so I still do yoga today because it really helps me feel good from the inside out, like my whole body and like mood, everything. Like I know, yoga can really help you with every aspect of your life. And it really helps me to stay calm, stay centered. And even during those times where I am dealing with depression or anxiety, it helps me still cope with that. So it's not like debilitating where I can still, get things done or value and honor my need for rest, so. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I found it interesting that you said at one point you were with this physical aspect of yoga, and then you transitioned into more of a spirituality. What caused you to transition?
Honestly, I felt like something was missing in my practice. So it wasn't until like I've been spiritual for a while, like all of my life, but just this understanding of what that even really means or looks like for me really started maybe in 2020 and then into 2021. And I felt like something was missing in my practice. And I was really dealing with like imposter syndrome a lot because I started teaching back in 2018. But I just felt like something was missing. And I found my guru who really like she's of Indian descent and just amazing person just overall, and taught me so much about yoga in a holistic way, teaching me the history behind the Indian lineage of yoga. And now, now I see how much more it is about the prana than the physical movements and the poses, like is really about that connecting to your breath, connecting to the body, and connecting to the energies around us as well, and being open to that. And yeah.
When you transitioned more into the spirituality, what did that look like in your practice? Was there like a moment where you're like, like this is it? Because you mentioned prana, so.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was a few moments, really. My whole time going through my 200 hour with my guru and, being in her classes and seeing how she incorporated sound healing and mantra in with the practice and the vision and realizations, the epiphanies that I would get during mantra, during, sound, and connecting to my voice, connecting to even different like Hindu gods and goddesses. Like, she really opened me up to a whole new world that I was being led to, of course, you don't find your teacher until you're ready to be the student. And I was starting to, like, I was attracted to the singing bowls. So I had bought me a set of singing bowls and was just practicing with them. But I kind of was going in blind. Just, I took a college library course about the effects that music has on the brain. But that can't really teach you a whole lot about the spiritual aspects of sound healing and sound therapies. So, yeah, it really just looked like me really embracing sound into my practice a lot more and being even more careful about the songs that I use in my practice if I'm using songs with words, and how I being receptive of how I'm being led to even lead a practice. Sometimes you'll be in class and it's like I'll completely go off script and I'll be like, "Oh, this is not what I planned for today's practice," but it just works. You gotta go with where you're being led. So really just, yeah, learning how to be led and being open to that.
Yes, ma'am. This is kind of, I guess, like a little off track, but did you do a teacher training before you started teaching, or did you start teaching and then do a teacher training?
So I started with a teacher training. However, it was yoga fit. It wasn't like a direct 200-hour, like I'm learning from this one person who is teaching me, all of these things. So it was a weekend. It was Friday through Sunday, and we went through, like, basically she taught me how to teach yoga. And I had already been doing yoga for a while, so I wasn't new to yoga. I just didn't know how to teach yoga. So when I went through the Yoga Fit course, it was a level 1 course, so I was legally able to teach classes. And I did start to teach classes. I started off by teaching free classes just to get, my foot in the door. You do have to do like a certain amount of community hours and stuff like that to be certified. But that's when I was dealing with the imposter syndrome. That's why I felt like something was missing from my practice. Like I needed more. I needed a deeper understanding of what yoga was, not just, I didn't need to just learn how to teach it. I needed to learn more about what yoga actually is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I can say, like, the more I feel like I know and understand, the more confident I feel like, okay, I can actually give you guys this information and I know that it's good and it's helpful because it's groundbreaking for me. So I definitely go through that. But I just had to ask that because I was like, whoa, like I couldn't imagine standing up in front of a class. And I still get that imposter syndrome sometimes, but like without my but coming my practice was a little bit different. I didn't have as much going into my training, so but I'm like I needed it to be able to teach. Like
Yeah.
there's no way I could do it without it. But I guess, speaking of spirituality and yoga and all that, I wanted to ask you about some of your philosophies. Like, I mean, you kind of told me a little bit about your name, Fluid. So, what's kind of your life philosophy that guides you through life and that you would like to give to everybody?
Hmm. Honestly, that changes a lot. And so
It
um,
flows.
it does, it flows. It definitely flows. And I can hear my guru now because she always said, like, what's your Sankopa? What is your mission? What is your goal? What is your life mission, pretty much? Um, Ask me the question one more time.
It's like, what's your life philosophy? But even you just asked a good question. What is your mission? What is your goal?
Yeah, yeah. So, um, I honor all beings. So I guess that's my life philosophy, is to honor every part of life, honoring myself and my body, honoring plants, honoring animals, honoring insects. Like, I really strive to not even kill spiders in my home. Like I really strive to really live a life of non-harming. And people think I'm crazy a lot of times because bugs don't really bother me anymore. Spiders are actually really attracted to me for some reason. Like, yeah, I don't even understand it, but like I will see a spider and it'll come right up to me. Like as long as you don't freak out, they're cool. But I just be like, I don't know why y'all are attracted to me, but you should go somewhere else. But yeah. So just really living a life of non-harming and honoring all things with breath.
Yes, that's beautiful. I mean, I definitely, as I've been studying yoga philosophy and learning about the yamas and the niyamas and everything, non-harming is one of them. And I'm always like, yes, and except in this case.
Yeah.
Because I don't like bugs. I don't like bugs and pests, and I'm literally a scaredy cat and squeamish and like, but that is a beautiful philosophy, and I could take that more into account because it's all life.
Mm-hmm.
It is all life and created by one, so
yeah,
gotta respect it.
And these bugs, they don't really be wanting to bother us. They just want to live their life too. Like, I don't know, but I don't really have fear for real. So like, I don't know. I understand and I see other people like being really squeamish about like bugs and stuff, but I don't know. I just be okay.
That's good. That's beautiful. And I'm like, I need to take a note from your book because I'm like, ugh. But what is something that you are currently working on in your practice?
So that flows a lot too. But currently, I'm actually working on, I guess, that mind body connection within so I'm starting to also work out again. And it seems like whenever I like get in the gym, my yoga practice lacks a little bit. So I'm finding that balance between how to honor my need to practice yoga and honoring my body in that way, but also, I guess, the more superficial side of like how I want to look at the same time, and still honoring and finding that balance between that. And even with that, the way that I eat, that's all to me a part of honoring my body as well. So I'm really working on being more discipline in how I'm living my life in general, which some people might be like, how is that yoga? But to me, all of it is yoga. Like, waking up and how you start your day, like that, for me, I always want to start my day with just gratitude and breath and, go from there. But yeah, when I feel like I'm in a place where I'm like stuck or I'm looking to change my situation, I work on inversions because to me that's, working on a new perspective, looking at the world in a whole new way. So it really just depends on what I'm doing that month or that week or, really like it changes and flow. It ebbs and flows a lot.
Yes. Interesting that you brought up like having these physical goals as a yogi. I feel like that's kind of taboo and people are like, oh, it's not about the physical and this and that. And I find it really hard to disregard the physical because I mean it's like mind, body, and spirit, right? And they kind of are, I mean, they're all intertwined, or at least they should be. So you have these physical goals. I guess, how do you work toward them without going insane? And then also, do you feel like your physical goals, is it ever something that you'll just disregard completely and kind of like, oh, it's not important?
I did disregard them for a little bit, to be honest. And um, even though it may be superficial, it's reality, like you said. And when I first went completely plant-based, and also gave up all processed foods. And I still pretty much live that way. However, I've been indulging a little bit. But I've really just been trying to figure out how to honor my body and what it looks like for me, because it looks so different for so many people. And I realized I wanted to get back in the gym after going plant-based and after losing so much weight. And I'm like, hold on now, like, I don't want to lose no more weight. Like, I love how I feel, but also at the same time, I want to love how I look and like feel physically on the outside too. Like, I like my little cushion. So, it really has just been a journey of me finding my own way and how to honor myself, in a way where I can feel good. Because also, I'm realizing I don't even fully agree with really getting to the gym and overextending myself to where I'm super sore the next day. And I know that's what they say you're in the gym for. Like, that's how you grow certain muscles and stuff like that. But I'm starting to realize that I don't even really care too much about the outside appearance to where I would want to be waking up sore and not being able to squat to use the bathroom, or, even do an upper dog because my abs are too tight and they're too sore, So it's really all about finding what you want for your life. And yes, I want to be fit. I want to look a certain way. But how I feel is the most important thing. So I'm really just every day taking note of how I'm feeling. What did I eat? How did I honor my body today? What movements did I do? And yeah, it's just a balance. It's just finding your own balance, because balance looks different for every single person.
That was beautifully put. Was there anything else that you wanted to say? Did you want to promote anything? I know that you're a St. Louisan. I have a lot of St. Louis listeners. That's my home place, but I'm currently in Chicago. If you give any advice or whatever you'd like to say before we start to close out the show.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with saying that we all deserve grace, and life is about the journey. So while we're on this journey, we may slip up, we may do things that are out of, what other people would maybe look at us and be like, oh, wow, you do that. And it's like always knowing that we are all still human at the same time. We're human, we're spiritual beings have a human experience. And so this experience is a wild one. We all deserve grace because it is so much going on in the world. And when you give yourself grace and compassion, you're able to give it to others even more. So just always starting with giving yourself grace, just honoring yourself in any way that you really feel, you need. I have a restorative yoga class here in St. Louis, and I wanted to do this class because I think a lot of people don't really realize how productive rest is. Like I tell everybody, rest is productive. You need rest in order to keep going. So that's why I really wanted to have a restorative class. And we do it every third Sunday at the Cola Lounge, which is a smoker's lounge. You do not have to be a smoker. We start the session off with tea. The first 30 minutes is just for you to come in, feel the space. We got coloring books and games, so you can let your inner child play a little bit before we get into the rest. And yeah, it's just a really open, welcoming environment for people to come and really deeply rest and restore. So I think that's something that we all need. And yeah, with the hustle and bustle and this grinding culture, like, you need rest. Rest is important. It's very important, and you want to feel good. So yeah, definitely want to just throw that out there. So if you in St. Louis, go ahead and come follow me at Flowing with Fluid on all platforms. So that's Instagram. You can. That's my website. So all of my classes, everything is on my website. I do have a special class coming up this March 10th for it's at the Cola as well, and it's a candle making and sound bath. So some people they don't even really want to come in and do that yoga. We're going to do a little bit of breath work just to get us in that mood for the sound bath. But I've had people ask me just for a sound bath. They just want to sit still. They don't even want to do the restorative yoga, which we're holding those poses for 3 to 5 minutes. So you're going to be still. But yeah, so I want to make sure that I'm honoring what my community is asking for. So we're going to start with candle making with lit Life Creations. Her candles, her incense, they're all like smell amazing and dope. She puts crystals in her candles, like, and herbs. They all have like specific intentions. So that's why I wanted to collab with her to bring this event together so that people can really learn how to set an intention in a candle, and then also to manifest that and allow those thoughts to permeate through a sound bath meditation. So that's going to be March 10th. And then, every third Sunday at the Cola, we got the restorative yoga class. Yeah. And you can find me on YouTube too, Flowing with Fluid on everything.
I don't prioritize rest enough within yoga, which it is important. And some days my body will literally force me into rest, and I'm like trying to do all this stuff, and it's like, nope, I can't. So, but if I prioritize it and make sure that's at the front, then I won't be forced. So, thank you so much, Fluid. I love your energy and your presence, and like we're on the Zoom call, so that's amazing. But before we go, what I ask all my guests is if you could lead us through a quick pranayama of your choice, just a few breaths, a few moments.
Let me grab my bowl real quick.
Ooh, yay.
So yeah, let's just get centered and take a deep breath. Notice how we're sitting. Notice how our body is in alignment right now. Maybe we want to relax those shoulders back, lift the head. Gaze can be relaxed. Just take time for those deep belly breaths. Take those deep inhales. Really feeling the rib cage expand. Feeling the belly. And as we exhale, exhaling from our chest, ribs, and belly. Let's express gratitude for this moment, for this breath. And whenever you're ready, you can call your attention back into the space. And feel whatever you need to feel. If you want to roll those wrists a little bit, you want to inhale those arms up. Exhale wide, opening up that chest. And yes, thank you for having me. My dog got up mid breath session, so you might have heard him a little bit. But yes, thank you so much for having me, for breathing with me.
Thank you so much, Fluid. Weekly Wellness Challenge. As you know, and if you don't know, I'm going to tell you, I've been following the 8 limbs of yoga for my weekly wellness challenges. And we finished the yamas. We hit all the yamas with the first 5 episodes. We had non-harming, ahimsa. We had truthfulness, satya, non-stealing, asteya, energy that's in line with the divine, brahmacharya, non-greed, aparigraha. So we're done with the yamas. I did a challenge for each one of them. Actually, the non-greed one, I didn't really do a challenge for that, but you'd have to go listen to that to understand why I chose not to. Anyways, it is a new month today that I'm recording is March 1st. And I mean, the month will still be new tomorrow. We're going into a new section of the 8 limbs of yoga, the niyamas, the positive duties or observances. You know, the yamas is about your morality, how you interact with the world. But these niyamas are really how you interact with yourself. And the first one is saucha, cleanliness. And I've done a cleanliness challenge on here before, but it's never a bad time to circle back around to cleanliness. There's a lot of different ways to practice cleanliness. You can practice having a clean mind, a clean body, a clean environment. You can practice eating clean, whatever that looks like. Having clean thoughts, listening to clean music. I don't know, like there's just like people go about this in a lot of different aspects, but cleanliness is important. I've had a friend tell me once cleanliness is close to godliness. You know, they go together. But I wanted to more focus on having a clean mind this week. And the reason why is because our environment and the things that we do is just a manifestation of our minds. And I really believe once we clean up our mind over time, clean up our mind and get to a place with pure thoughts, everything on the outside in our environments, on our bodies, our relationships will be cleaner and purer, ideally, you know. So for this challenge, I looked up some mental cleansing activities, and you know, I've been digging the whole journal thing lately. So in your journal, hopefully if you listen to this show regularly, you have a journal and you're writing in it at this point, if you're participating in the challenges, because it's a lot of journaling, a lot of self-reflection. But in this journal, we are to write down 3 things that no longer deserve our energy and 3 things that we learned about ourselves in the last 30 days. And I'm guessing reflecting on these things is a bit of a mental cleanse. We'll just say that. But I like the idea of doing a cleanse of some sort, whether you want to like take some time to clean up your diet, clean up your space, clean up your mind, or you just clean up whatever. You know, we're entering, again, it's March. This is the month where spring starts, so it's all about spring cleaning, right? And it's a good time to do that. But I wanted to do these little self-reflection prompts, and you're writing down 6 things total. It's the 6th episode of season 2, so yay, that's fun. If you'd like to do another challenge or some something else to get in the spirit of cleanliness, by all means do it. But for the sake of the weekly wellness challenge, 6 things in our journal, 3 things that we're no longer giving our energy to, cleaning up our energy, or that no longer deserve our energy, and then 3 things that we've learned about ourselves in the past 30 days. I'm really going to have to reflect about that and about my past 30 days. And yeah, anyways, that is the show. That's the weekly wellness challenge. I have talked about everything that could be talked about. You're listening to the Perfect Prana Show on 88.1 FM WCRX, also available on Apple and Spotify. Before we go, I'd like to close out with a quote. And I actually heard this quote from an interview with Terry Crews, his most recent interview with Shannon Sharp, who has a podcast and interviews all these high profile people and blah blah blah, whatever. Terry Crews went on his show and I liked his interview, to be honest. It was really like inspiring self-help. He was saying some like little nuggets of wisdom and stuff, but something that stuck with me is when he said, whatever God says about you, if you repeat it, it sounds very narcissistic. But whatever Satan says about you and you repeat it, it sounds very realistic. That stuck with me. I was like, interesting. Because sometimes I feel weird being confident. You know, I'll even make a joke out of it sometimes because I'm like, this feels egotistical and weird to like say nice, kind things about myself sometimes. No, but I like that. That's just encouraging us, you know, disregard God, Satan, religion, whatever. You know, I understand everybody is in a different place with that, but that to me just encourages us to be our most full selves, to be your most full authentic self, and to be confident about it. And that, you know, if you have these beliefs and you think, I'm gonna make it, I'm somebody, I'm important, I belong here, and you know, you say that out loud, you say out loud that I'm an important person or whatever, that does sound very egotistical. Like, okay, who are you? Who cares? you know what I'm saying? That might make people uncomfortable. Like you said, whatever Satan says about you, whatever the devil, whatever demons say about you, however you want to paint that, that sounds realistic. That's downplaying yourself. Like, oh, I'm nothing, I'm not important, it's not that serious, I didn't really do that. Like, no, really think about yourself how God or how the divine thinks about you, or however you'd like to paint that in your head. I liked it. It stuck with me. Anyways, it's been a great show. I hope you all have a good start to your March. With that being said, may the light and darkness within me bow to the light and darkness within you. Namaste.